Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. This is gonna be my first video. If you clicked on the title, then you already know what I'm about to say. And it is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer 1992 movie. It's come to my conclusion that not enough people have seen this movie, so clearly I need to make a YouTube video about it, because what else would I do? It's kind of one of those movies that, well, a lot of us know it because of our parents. For instance, Clueless. That movie obviously came out in the 90s. If you're like me and you grew up in the early 2000s, clearly we were born after the movie, and that's okay. We know that movie because our parents did what they were supposed to do and show us things that they grew up on. They passed it on to us. And that is why I am the person that I am today. Now, because my parents showed me the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, I really didn't know that there was even an entire show that came out after it that has 7 seasons. And that's why Sarah Michelle Gellar is who she is today. And not because she was in Scooby-Doo. I thought it was because she was in Scooby-Doo. Apparently, she was on a successful TV show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I will admit, I did try to watch it when I was a kid, but I was a little bit biased back then when I tried to watch it. So I think as an adult, now that I've grown and I'm different, I think I'm okay with watching it. I believe that the TV show starts off with Buffy already knowing about her Slayer powers and the backstory. In the movie, we actually get to see Buffy become the person that she is, and that's what makes me love the movie so much. Is the movie camp? Is it sort of bad? Yes, but you have to go in watching it with an open mind and understanding that it's so unserious.
Well, I feel pretty.
It really does have a lot more depth than you think. I'm here to explain that to you while we recap this entire movie. So thank you, Christy Swanson, for, well, giving me something amazing to talk about. And I want you to know that you're just as iconic as the rest of these girls in the 90s. And you will forever hold a special place in my heart. Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie starts off with, it takes place in the Dark Ages. The audience is basically being explained that every time a Slayer is unalived, another one is reborn, and it's gonna keep happening until the vampires are gone. It jumps from the Dark Ages to 1992 modern day, with Buffy holding the cheerleading pom-pom in her hand, doing a cheer routine to the funky chicken. Now, in my opinion, off the bat, I already feel like the movie kind of has like this sort of 90s vibe, but to me, maybe more like 80s. Now, I could be getting my generations wrong. So if I am, and I'm offending people, I am so sorry. If my mom sees this, I'm also sorry because I'm probably also offending you. But that's kind of the vibe that I get from the movie, and I'm not mad about it. Are there movies in the 90s that are colorful? Yes. But it's just something about the aesthetic of it and the style of it and just what Buffy's wearing. I mean, the cheer uniform itself is big puffy shorts, purple, like shiny kind of stretchy fabric leotard, like bodysuit pant leg with a cheer top. Personally, I will be dressing as Buffy for Halloween. I've been wanting to do that for a couple years and it's been in my Pinterest board and I've yet to do it, but simply making this video clearly means I'm in the Buffy mood. I vote all the girlies wear a cheer uniform from one of their favorite movies ever. It can be any kind of movie. It can be from one of the Bring It On movies, and maybe add some blood, gory stuff to it to make it scarier. And also rewatching this and taking notes, the mascot is hideous. What on planet Earth was that thing? It was a crusty looking pig. So in the beginning of the movie, we kind of already get an idea of who Buffy is and kind of how people probably perceive her. The stereotypical blonde, very much typical in the 90s. She's giving Cher from Clueless. We've seen it one too many times. Cares about shopping, her boyfriend, and going out and cheerleading and prom and going to the dance. But in my opinion, she reminds me of Cher and, well, our Legally Blonde queen. Just something so special about them. More open-minded and willing to learn. Their girliness, well, it's not a bad thing. It's more so a superpower for them. And I'll get more into that later and it'll make a lot more sense, I swear. When Buffy's leaving the mall, we kind of see her first interaction with this creepy old looking man, aka President Snow. If you know, you know. She's heading in the elevator and we're kind of just seeing this weird encounter with them, but she also has this look on her face of like, I feel like I've seen you before, not quite sure who you are. And well, we have already seen him. We don't necessarily know who he is, but he was in the beginning of the movie explaining to us who Buffy is and why she's a Slayer and why she's reborn. I just have to mention, when she's leaving the mall and she sees her boyfriend in the car with his friends, she kisses him in such an iconic and 90s way. I feel like leans over the car and they share a kiss while eating the licorice. I fear that was so freaking cute. We need to bring corny stuff like that back. Guys walking around with jean jackets pulled over their back because that's how people walk around and carry their jackets. That's so realistic. One of the guys in the back seat, his name is Grueller. He's friends with Buffy's boyfriend and he gets out the car. I think he's just, he's going on a walk, he's heading home. Well, he encounters one of the first vampires we see.
Niggas in my city and I'm still in
And nothing really happens. The scene just cuts away and that's it. We then see that Buffy and her boyfriend meet at her house, and we basically get an idea of the type of parents that Buffy has. They're kind of like uppity, really haven't like fully grown up, and they're not very present in her life. They're very much in love with each other. They kind of only care about themselves. They like to still go out, and they basically, well, accidentally had a child, I'm sure. They don't really care about her. She even says in the movie,
"My name is Bobby."
It's possible she thinks my name's Bobby.
Buffy then goes to sleep, and we start to see that she has this dream of one of her many past lives, and we find out that she basically starts having these dreams because a very, very old vampire has awoken.
Logos.
We know why she's having these dreams, but she doesn't really quite understand. It really doesn't make any sense to her, and she kind of tries to blow it off a little bit. Buffy is out with her friends. You know, they're going to meet up at a bar, and of course one of her friends, Kimberly, shows up in a yellow jacket that she literally tells Buffy,
"Please, it said 5 minutes ago."
but proceeds to buy it anyways. Ugh. We then see Pike and Benny show up. They're at the movies with them, you know, earlier in the movie after they had left the mall, but we really didn't like hear much from them. They were kind of just there behind them at the movie theater. But now we're getting a little bit more introduction from them. They're kind of acting a little loopy, let's just say, and Buffy calls them,
You guys are thrash.
well, I'm gonna assume that the definition I just looked up is not what that is, or, well, how they meant it. I'm gonna assume they really just mean that they're trashed.
That would explain the slurred speech.
After Buffy says that, Pike introduces himself and says, "Well, I'm Pike." And Buffy, well, we get the iconic line,
Pike isn't a name, it's fish.
Pike and Benny are leaving the bar, thrashed. They're, you know, walking around, walking down this like hill mountain area, and they're just super like out of it. Pike falls to the ground, and Benny is sitting on this ledge, and a vampire comes up behind him. It's the same vampire that we saw in his last scene with Grueller, and nothing happened. We didn't see anything, but well, we can assume what happened in that scene. Pike's so out of it that he doesn't even know what's going on. By the time that Benny gets pulled back, President Snow, aka Merrick, the old crusty man, he pulls up and he helps Pike get home safely. So you can see that that dude's out of it, and there's vampires definitely lurking around. Merrick shows up to Buffy's high school at night while she's doing, you know, her cutesy little gymnastics. He shows up and tells her, "Girl, you're a slayer, and you're the only one who can stop all these crazy vampires." And she's like, "You're mad. You're crazy." But he says, "No, you're the chosen one, and you need to come to the grave with me so that I can show you exactly what I'm talking about." Merrick is basically trying to convince her to leave, and he says, "What about your dreams?" And she's like, "What do you mean what about my dreams? How do you know I'm having dreams?" And he's like, "Have you envisioned something or somebody sort of as a person, but not really a person?" And she starts to talk about, well, the one, the only Lothos, a very, very old vampire. Not the same old vampire that is out here taking all these young people and turning them into vamps. It's another old vampire. And he's, well, I actually don't fully know who he is, but I'm going to assume, based on the context of this movie and not doing research on it, my research was watching the movie. I didn't actually look anything up. He's giving original Dracula. We'll leave it there. She basically just tells Merrick that this guy's in her dream and he's very strong, and she's just fighting him every single time. Buffy ends up trusting Merrick to take her to the grave. They go there and they just basically are sitting around waiting. She doesn't really understand why. They wait for someone named Robert Herman, who was a student that was unalive 3 days before everything started happening. And he and a woman both actually awaken from the grave, and we see that they are obviously vampires. Buffy, being the queen that she is, and her first go around, slays both of them. Buffy obviously kind of comes to the conclusion that vampires are real. She's not fully sold on the idea, but clearly after what she just did, they must be. Merrick takes her home and says, "You literally can't tell anybody about this. They can't know who you are, and you need to keep your mouth shut in order to keep yourself safe." Pike is sleeping in his apartment or motel, whatever. There's a big window, and he's basically awoken by his friend Benny, aka the floating vampire, aka Dewey. I couldn't believe when I was watching this that this whole time that Dewey from Scream is the floating vampire. And we're not going to talk about these movies being backwards, okay? Let it go. When Pike is awoken by Benny, he's about to let him in, and then when he looks down through the window, he goes,
You're floating! Come on, man, get away!
Benny just keeps saying, I'm hungry. It's been a couple days since everything's been going on, and since Buffy has seen Merrick, and she's still not fully sold on the idea, as I said before. So Merrick, well, clearly does another thing. He shows up to the high school once again to bother Buffy. He just can't leave homegirl alone. He shows up to the high school, is like, girl, did I not just tell you we were supposed to meet up because you're the chosen one and we need to train to fight these vampires? And she's like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not the chosen one. Whatever you're saying to me is obviously insane. Basically, he throws a knife at her to prove to her that she is the chosen one. Buffy, being the queen that she is and the slayer that she is, she catches it. She's like, dang, how did I do that? You're a queen and you don't even know it yet. Well, and after Merrick throwing the knife at her to prove that she already naturally has the ability to fight because she's a slayer, she says, leave me alone. I'm supposed to grow old and marry Christian Slater, which she doesn't, and that's supposed to be her life. And then she punches him, as she should, and doesn't even break a nail. And, well, he goes flying, and that's basically when the training begins. She's kind of just accepted it at this point. It's clearly right in front of her, and, well, whether she wants this to be fate or not, it's clearly fate. Also, I feel like it's pretty obvious that although she's already a slayer, and it's just in her being a gymnast, I feel like, is what also really helps her and puts her in this position and why she's so good in the beginning. Working hard, but hardly working, you know? Buffy gets pulled into the office by the principal, and he says a whole bunch of stuff that I really didn't pay attention to.
Maybe I am a toaster and Raw's mullet.
I felt the need to mention because our queen unalived to fly with a thumbtack. And I don't ever recall that, but because I saw that and was like, huh? Buffy basically goes on her first mission and she's walking outside at night alone in a little construction site in the cutest freaking outfit. Talking about this movie, obviously I have to talk about the fashion choices because everything she's worn so far has been a hit. She is an it girl and I don't care. Wearing everything that she's worn in that movie today. I'm going online and I'm buying everything and I'm wearing it in 2025. She's basically just trying to lure some vampires and Miss Girl starts to sing feelings. Whoa, whoa. And well, after her beautiful singing, she does lure a vampire down.
Okay.
In my opinion, she slays once again easily. Merrick tells her that she needs more training, even though she ate with that. I hate to say this, but he was right because even though she did slay one very easily, 1 versus 10 of them, not the same thing. I also kind of learned that when she was luring the vampire down to the little construction site, she was starting to get some kind of cramp in her. Basically, her being a woman and PMSing, she starts to feel this gut-wrenching feeling. She calls it her weapon, but Merle says no, it's a secret alarm system. I love this because she kind of gets like a PMS feeling that when a vampire is near and they're coming, because it's so unnatural, their whole like existence doesn't make sense and it's unnatural, that she gets this feeling when they're coming and she knows they're near. And I love Merrick's response to that because typically anything, especially related during that time, anything related to womanhood is looked at as a bad thing. And I saw a video describing this perfectly. They also use the example of Carrie because they had such like a crazy scene in both the Carrie movies when Carrie gets her period, and it's such a bad, disgusting thing. But I really love that it's looked at as like, it's a part of womanhood. No, it may not be our favorite thing in the world, but it's a part of who we are, and that's okay, and it's not disgusting, and it's normal. Well, it's used as a superpower, basically. Also kind of get Merrick's backstory as to what he's doing, why he's here, and what's his purpose. This is kind of sad. He's basically here to help Buffy become the slayer that she is, and he can't interfere with that no matter how special she is. Buffy basically empathizes with him a lot because she's just like, dang. Like, she doesn't say anything, but you can just see the look on her face when she realizes that like he really only exists for her. And she asks him what is he gonna do with his life when all the vampires are gone, and he's like, I don't know. And she's like, maybe you'll be able to get a job and live a life. And the way he responds to, wow, a job, only if, it makes me so sad. Having like a specific reason to exist is so, it seems a lot easier when you know what the outcome's going to be. But when you see his life and he knows what he's gonna be on Earth for every single time, which is for Buffy, kind of makes you realize and will appreciate the unknown, really. Not that I know much about Star Wars, but I did watch a whole recap on it, even though I've never seen any of it. Kind of seems that's exactly what Luke Skywalker's story is. He was born to become Darth Vader or something. Pike, our man. Dude is driving at night. Obviously, he's suspicious of the vampires. He's been suspicious of them ever since his friend Benny became one, and he was not really sure what he was, but he was suspicious enough. This man's driving at night. He encounters some vampires. One gets stuck on top of his car. The one who took Grueller. He's on top of his car. His arm's in the car, and he's trying to get Pike. He can't get him, and Pike pulls his arm off, and the guy goes flying. Pike crashes his car, and then he gets out, and the guy goes,
You ruined my new jacket. Kill him a lot.
Pike basically gets attacked by these vampires, and of course, our queen Buffy shows up to help. After she defeats them, Pike and Buffy go to her house. Pike basically is just like, were those vampires? Was that real? She's just like, yes, but it's still all very confusing to me. She still doesn't fully understand it herself. And Buffy's kind of just rambling on and says to Pike, sorry, I've just been rambling on and on to a strange man in my living room. And all Pike hears is, you think I'm a man? And he gets the most butterflies I've ever seen from a man. He felt so validated by a woman. Buffy says she's gonna go to bed, and she offers him a guest room to stay in, and he goes, no, I'm gonna stay right here downstairs in the living room to make sure everything's cool and keep you safe. Buffy goes to school the next day, and she's walking in school, and her boyfriend's friend's crusty, dusty, musty self grabs her bottom without her consent. She flips him over and folds him like a pancake. Of course, her friends are standing there in silence doing nothing, because what else would they be doing? Buffy gets ready to go out onto the gym floor to do the cheer routine to How Funky Is Your Chicken once again. Finally see Grueller ever since he disappeared from the beginning of the movie with that other vampire. When we didn't actually see what happened, he just disappeared and we just didn't see anything. We obviously see what we assumed that we didn't see, and that he is a vampire at the basketball game. Mind you, this man has blood on his face, pointy elf ears, and fangs, and no one's questioning that. Okay. They put him out onto the floor, and this man clearly is good at his game, and he starts playing basketball, and they're like, dude, you gotta get this dude out, because what is this? This dude's literally flying. Growls at one of these dudes that, come to find out when I'm watching, it's Batman. Not the Batman. A Batman. Buffy can basically see what Grueller is now, and she trips him because it's just in her now. Now she just wants to go fight every vampire that she sees in her vicinity. He starts running away. Now that he's run away and she didn't defeat him and he knows who she is, she has to go chase him. This man's on top of her, and he was about to, unalive her, but then King Pike shows up and stakes this dude and saves Buffy. After Pike stakes Grueller, Buffy falls on top of him, and more sparks fly. This is also the first time Lotho comes in contact with this version of Buffy. This is the first time Buffy is seeing him, and he basically kind of puts her in some kind of trance. I still don't fully understand it. Again, I didn't do extra research on this. When he says come here, she starts to come here. Okay? Merrick shows up, and he basically sees that Lothos is about to bite Buffy in the neck, and Merrick tries to stake him, even though he specifically said, no matter how special the Slayer is, I'm not supposed to intervene. I'm supposed to let her be able to do this all on her own when she comes in contact with him. He proceeds to do the opposite. I feel like the movie set that up perfectly, because kind of knew that he obviously would do something that he wasn't supposed to, because of how much he's come to grow and love Buffy, because of Buffy's parents and how they're not they're not there for her. They don't really know what's going on. They don't even know her name, really. You see the relationship she starts to grow with Murray, his love for her and her love for him. He does what he's not supposed to, which causes him to get staked. The sore side. Honestly, the scene alone of Buffy grieving over Merrick, it made me so sad. Also, Pike just being there in silence while she's grieving, not even saying anything, and just kind of looking out the window to see what's going on and just being there for her is... So the last thing that Merrick says to Buffy is, you tend to do everything wrong, but please keep doing everything wrong, because you need to not play by our rules. After Buffy has been grieving over Merrick, she goes to school and tries to meet up with her friends and basically go to them and tell them about everything that's been going on in her life. They want nothing to do with her. They were mean, they were rude, they did not care that she was hurting at all. After Buffy being treated like crap by her friends, she goes on a walk. She's heading to the mall alone to go shopping, and she runs into Pike. Pike is actually looking for her because he has been thinking about her. He hasn't seen her in a few days. He's been thinking about her. Buffy basically tells him to leave her alone, and that this world and this life is not meant for her. She isn't a Slayer. She doesn't want to be. She wants nothing to do with this, and she wants to go to the senior prom. And he's like, no, you are special. You are the chosen one, and you are the guy. She's like, F off, leave me alone. And he's like, you know what?
Benny was right. You're all the same. I'm not disappointed, just angry.
Buffy shows up to prom and she's wearing one of the best dresses I've ever seen, which actually that aesthetic of dress, that specific style is coming back. She goes looking for her boyfriend. She finds him and he's with her friend Jenny.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
And says, I'm with her and I broke up with you. And she goes, what? When was this? And he's like, did you not get my message? And she says another iconic line.
You left me a message?
You weren't home.
You broke up with my machine?
Pike, of course, shows up to the dance, sees her standing by this prop. He taps her, turns back, doesn't see him, goes around the prop, pulls out a flower, and hurry up and pulls up and put it in front of her. No men do it like that. May he rest in peace. He gives her the flower and says, do you want to dance? And of course she says yes. And when they're dancing, it's just this part of the movie that I love so much. He's just like, Buffy, you're not like other girls. You know what Buffy says?
Yes, I am.
While they're dancing, Pike and Buffy share their first kiss. A whole bunch of vampires start coming through the windows and through the doors and stuff. Well, they're trying to get through the doors. Mostly just seniors. They're all at the door posing like they're in some freaking band. Buffy starts to fill up her little cute satin purse with steaks to go and prepare to fight. She uses her gymnastics little fighting skills. I love that they kept her cutesy girly just because she's a slayer and a fighter. I don't know anything about the show, so I am not comparing these characters when I don't know enough about them at all. I don't know if that's how Sarah Michelle Gellar's character is, but it had 7 seasons, so although I heard that the main guy with the platinum blonde hair, another version, no, that's not. He's a vampire. I don't know who that is. But apparently he's very much like everyone loves him and then they ruin the relationship. So I really feel like I don't want to do that to myself when I mostly care about relationships in a movie or TV show. So I don't know if I'm going to watch it, but maybe. I just don't want to upset myself. Just like if I watch Gilmore Girls, I don't want to upset myself when I find out that Rory's not going to end up with the person I know I want her to end up with. And apparently when they made the 1 year into the life, people still were not happy about it. After Buffy's running around trying to get past all these vampires, she runs back into the school. The one-armed vampire shows up. She's trying to open doors. She can't open the first door. She can't open a second door. She opens a third and gets in. And the one-armed vampire goes,
Well, she could go for what's behind door number 3.
Buffy and the one-armed vampire, which pretty sure his name's Amelin. Amelin. Her and the one-armed vampire are going at it. He says she's worthless and she's nothing and he's immortal and he can beat her. He goes, I can do anything. And she goes, oh yeah? Clap. Then we just hear Lothos in the background playing a violin. Then she stakes Amelin. When she stakes him, you already know what's coming. Ooh. The most iconic dying scene. This man, I think he's still doing the same thing till this day. That is the number one thing I think of when I think of this movie. We then finally see what Pike has been up to in the gymnasium, and he's fighting his friend Benny. And this whole time, I did not realize that Benny had a gold fang. Pike is fighting him because this man is trying to get to his girl Buffy. Lothos, just as the one-armed vampire, is talking down on her, saying she's worthless, she's nothing, and she's just like every single other girl. And she says, maybe I'll surprise you. And you know what she does? She lights a stick on fire and sprays hairspray to set this man on fire. She always has to be cutesy and demure about it. Pike finally finds Buffy and she's in the middle of fighting Lothos, and she finally stakes him, and you know what he says?
I'm really pissed off.
Basically, ambulance are showing up. People are trying to get help. It's kind of the aftermath of everything that's happened. She's defeated Lothos. Vampires are finally gone. Well, most of them, I think. Pike goes, I saved a dance for you. Would you like to lead? She goes, no. And he's like, me either. I love Pike because in the end, at the end of all of this, Pike accepts Buffy as she is. She's a slayer and she's just a girl who wants to go to prom and be a cheerleader, and he's okay with both sides of Buffy. Of course, Pike and Buffy ride off into the sunset on a motorcycle in a dusty alleyway. Basically, the credits start to roll and we see on TV this news lady is talking to one of the teens, which the annoying guy who touched Buffy where he wasn't supposed to without her consent. Yeah, that no. He says
they had fangs. They were biting people. They had this look in their eyes. Totally cold, animal. I think they were young Republicans.
What? That line from the 90s is crazy because of how much that is hilarious till this day. These writers knew what they were doing. This whole movie is everything to me and I will never forget it. It brings me joy. I love talking about it and I'll never shut up about it. And I feel as if more people need to know about it. Netflix needs to put it on there and I feel like more people would watch it and understand it and love it just as much as I do. Now that we in 2025 know what camp really means, I feel like we can really enjoy this movie for what it is. It has everything in just the right amount to be perfect. And that is it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoy. If you don't enjoy, that's also fine.